A lot of people comment on my building videos. I only build boxes. And today the goal is to break you out of the box because we are going to do circle building 101. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to do a basic circle build. And then I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways that you can get creative with it and take the same basic design and give it a wide variety of different looks. To start out with, for the basic design, we are going to be using base game stone pieces. So these are not modded. And the very most basic version of this design probably can be built on official, maybe with some adaptation, but yeah, we'll see. So anyway, to start with, you're going to make your classic hexagon, and you might notice that I put the foundations at their highest point I could get them to, which is because, of course, like in Ark, like the way it always is, it's not completely flat here, so that'll just give me a little bit more space to work with here before it starts giving me issues. So there we've got our basic hexagon, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do the base shape. Well, in the interest of keeping this video short, I'll show those other methods in another video. For now, we're going to keep this one simple, but we're going to start with the easiest one. So we're just going to do squares, snap to all those triangles in the middle, and then we're going to do triangles in between, all of the squares. Excuse me, go away. Can I pick you up, please? All right. There, so there we go. We've got a nice little 12-sided shape, which I learned the other day is called a dodecagon, but it's easier to just call it a circle. So this is a 12-sided circle. Now to make this into a gazebo, we are going to grab our walls and switch those to the double doorway. And I like to use double doorways for this because they're slender, almost like a slender pillar, but then you can easily snap a door in them if you want to, and they give you all the snap points of a wall. So we'll just go all the way around. And I actually learned to make circles this exact same way about 2 years ago, and actually about 2 years ago, also early October. So almost exactly 2 years ago, I was making my very first circle builds, and I made gazebos in order to practice them because I was at that time getting ready for an ExtraLife live stream with Aaron Longstaff and Russ Clark also, but that one was hosted by the architects and I was helping with that. And we were building gazebos for the teleporters at each different location. And so I built a few of those at different event locations. Anyway, so this here would be a fairly short one. I'm going to go up one more wall in height, just make it a little taller. Guys are so noisy, you know that? Okay, and then we're going to pick a couple spots to be the entrances, and then we're just going to add stairs there. Could do ramps, whatever. I think I'll do 3. Could do any number that's divisible by 12. You can do 4, whatever. Is that right? No, that is not right. I need one more over. Okay. All right. Yep, that looks right. And then I'm going to put railings in between the other ones. And I'm not sure if you can snap railings in a spot where there's a double doorway on official. If you can't, then you may have to just use pillars at those spots if that works. Oops, that's not going to be an especially useful stairway if I block it. Yeah, most of my builds are not really designed for official. If they can be used on official, that's awesome, but I don't design them with that in mind because I can't be limited. I can't be tamed. There's a reason why I don't play unofficial, and so not going to limit myself to official limitations. Okay, and then the most simple way would be to then echo the shape above of the foundation below. So where there is a triangle foundation below, we put a triangle roof above. Where there is a square foundation below, we would put a square roof above. And if you're not building this in creative mode where you can fly, then you may need to bring a dino over to be your building buddy. I have done a lot of building standing on the head of a T-Rex or on the back of a Bronto, even on the head of a Bronto for some builds, or on a Quetz platform saddle or a Parasaur platform saddle. But you know, where there's a will, there's a way. All right. And then in the middle, since it's all triangles down below, we are going to do that again. So I'm just showing you the bare bones basics here so that from there we can then experiment and have fun with it and have a bunch of different variations. All right. So there is a very, very basic looking build. And I usually also would put another railing like here. Come on now. Around the sides. Just give it a little bit of a fancy touch. We can also add an overhang if you want to extend out one more roof. We will probably look at that when we do some of the variations. There we go. See, there is a nice basic little gazebo. You could easily throw your generator in the middle here, put troughs in here. If you are using mods, you could put your nanny in here. You could put your hatchery in here if you're using a mod that adds a hatchery, all kinds of stuff like that. If you have teleporters, you can put your teleporter in the middle. That just makes it easier to spot for other tribe members, especially if you've got a bunch of big dinos around. You don't have to go darting between all of the T-Rex ankles looking for the trough. So that's the super, super basic one. In fact, you know what? We should also add railings to the stairs. So I'll go around and do that. But we definitely can do better. And the first way in which we can do better is by changing up the texture, because this entire thing is made out of the same texture. It's all stone, and it's not going to let us put railings on there because there's not enough of it showing, but whatever. It's all stone, and that's kind of boring. And so we can add some texture, add some interest to that by varying the texture. So let's try grabbing some wood triangles, maybe some of these guys as well. So one of the first things I usually do is try to make a pattern in the floor. So even just swapping out some textures in the floor to make a pattern of some kind just makes it a little bit more interesting, you know? Okay, now we got some options to play with. I got way too much crap in my inventory, but let's try placing some of these. And you might be saying that, you know, oh, you could also just put the frontier skins on it or the Bob's Tall Tales skins on it. And absolutely, that is also a great way to change it up. Oh, you gonna check it out there, Megalosaurus? But I want to start out so basic that even if you don't have Bob's Tall Tales, you can use the design and you can use the ideas. So absolutely experiment with adding skins to it. But let's see, let's do this. Can we place another one underneath? Or is that a thing you're not going to let us do? Okay, there is a way to put another one underneath. Let me see if I can get that to work. So if I do this, that creates another snap point underneath. I might also have to do a quarter ceiling like so. And let's see if these stay even when I remove the pieces that are giving us the snap point. Let us see. So these are basically being snapped here. Oops, dang it. And then E to flip them upside down like that, which gives a nice little pattern. And then, nope, it's not going to stay. It's going to be a pain in the patootie. But there is more than one way to deal with that. Also, let's look in the pillars here. If they're supported by pillars, they should stay. And which one do we want? Let's try grabbing vanilla stone and vanilla wood. Now, how would this look with the thin wood pillar? That looks pretty good, I think. That gives a nice little contrast with the stone as well. I like that. Okay, and now let's see if we can make this work now that we've got the pillars in there. Ah. That's the trick. There you go. When you've got the pillars there, then it's got foundation support. So it will stay even when you remove the pieces that gave you the snap point in the first place. So let's go around and add all the pillars, and then we will go around and complete our fun little details on the roof edge here. And absolutely play around with doing this with other materials too. I've done this before using tech, and tech can actually make some really fun gazebo looking thingies if you are making a later game base and have plenty of resources to be able to make some tech stuff. And I usually like to extend the pillar into the ground. I just feel like it gives it a little bit more of a finished look. All right. You know what? Let's do this assembly line style, save some time. Okay, I've got my crosshairs, my building crosshairs are over this railing here to make sure that I have this snapped to the right thing. All right. And then let's go around and add these little guys. The fun thing about making circle designs, one of the things that to me makes them so addictive is the fact that, I mean, you change one little thing and then you repeat that pattern enough times and it'll look completely different and you'll get a very different sort of result. And that makes them really fun to experiment with and just kind of see what sort of designs you can come up with. All right, and now we'll grab this guy and flip it. And let's go ahead and do this, and then I'll go around and do the right side up ones. All right, there we go. Oh, this okay. And now let's go around and remove the quarter pieces. Oh, that one did not stay. Now, why are you being a pain in the butt? I do not know why you are being like this. Are you not snapped to the right thing? Let's try maybe replacing these or something. Oh, not that one, dang it. That one. Excuse me there, mammoth. Trying to work here. Rude. Now let's see if we can see any difference between how those are snapped and how the rest of these are snapped. No, it looks good. May have just been being weird. Sometimes just replacing the support will fix it. So I think just replacing that pillar may have been what fixed it. So anyway, already we have a gazebo that looks ever so much more interesting. Take some screenshots here. And now let me show you a little technique for making the roof more interesting. So to do this, we need to have a snap point about halfway up this upper door frame here. So as you can see, the snap point currently is of course at the bottom there or above, but there's not really a snap point where I could put a ceiling there because of the fact that railings do not have the same snap points as walls. I wish they did, but they do not. And so I'm going to do this to test at first. We may have to do something similar to what we did before in order to get the snap points that I want. This is something you probably can't do on official, but if I've got a snap point there because I've got the quarter wall, then I can mesh another pillar through and that pillar should give us the snap point we need. You're still not going to cooperate, are you? Oh. There was one here a second ago. Okay, fine then, be that way. We'll use the quarter wall to get the snap point and then the pillar just to make it stay. All right, there. Now the fact that there is that pillar that is snapped at this height, this is what's giving us the support for this. And sometimes I would have to then run it all the way down to the ground, but usually when they're meshed through each other like this, the other pillars will be supporting this pillar, even if they're not snapped to the end of it. Okay, and then what I would do here, and I'll do this with stone to start out with, just to keep the look we currently have before we go experimenting with other looks. Now I would alternate the spot where there's a square roof. I would then use triangles and I can go up like this. See that gives kind of a different look there. And you could even do a fun thing like this. And this is an example of how something snapping wrong can actually look really good if you go for it, if you just embrace it and you do it enough times. If you snap something out of place once, then it looks like a mistake. But if you do it a whole bunch of times and make it symmetrical, then it makes a pattern. And people go, oh my gosh, that's such a cool pattern. How did you do that? So when something snaps wrong, before you pick it up and try again, take a second and look at it and just see if it might be actually doing something interesting. All right, so we'll skip that one. And then I just want to see what this would look like if we did this for a few more of these. I'm snapping that up and then in like that and like that. So that would definitely be a way to make a more interesting looking roof if you did that all the way around the edges. I actually really like that, and that's a roof pattern I have not done before. So you never know what kinds of new things you'll come up with if you just let yourself experiment. Are you gonna stay? Yes, so far so good. Right, what if I pick up these guys? Nope, not the last one of those. Oh well. You know, I think I like this roof design enough that I'm just going to go all the way around the edges and do that. And then let's do something underneath these bits here, like this. Skip and there. Except that quick little way of picking up structures, that's something you can only do in creative mode. But if you just go up to a structure really close and hit G, then it will delete it. No idea what the console equivalent would be. I like doing that because then I don't have to put away what I have in my hand and get out the gun. So that can save a little time here and there. There we go. I really like that piece of those pieces of railings peeking out in between there. It just makes it look like a very, very snazzy, fancy roof. I like it a lot. There we go. And then we can change it up again and make it more interesting with a fun pattern on the inside of the roof. All right. And we can add some of these fun little guys. You know what? I don't want to mess with that right now. We'll just pick that up and move on to adding another texture we're going to swap the roof out for thatch, because even if it is weak, I really like the texture of thatch sometimes for roofs specifically. So a lot of times, even late game, if I'm building a structure out of stone and wood, I'll use thatch for the roofs. Just kind of gives it that old timey cottagey feel. And for the longest time, the only problem with using thatch was the absence of thatch triangles. But now that they have finally added thatch triangles to the game, we can swap them all out for thatch, which it looks like the shaggy texture does cover up some of that fancy detail there, but there's still some of it showing. Come on now, get in there. Oh, you had it. Just don't want to cooperate, do you? There. And obviously you can stop at any point in this process. I'm just showing you some of the myriad ways in which you can just play with this design to come up with your own creative ideas. And the nice thing is, gazebos being so small, they don't cost a lot of resources. So it's a fairly cheap way to experiment if you're building in survival. So another fun thing that I often will do with the roof is, instead of putting triangles in these spots here, sometimes I like to just do squares all the way around, just because I like the pattern. I like the pattern that they make. What was that? That might have been one of the mesh through pillars or something. Anyway, I like the texture they make when they're meshed through each other like this here. I just feel like it adds a little bit more interest versus just making it all totally smooth. It's breaking some of these railings, but it's not the end of the world. And other railings, it isn't. I think it just depends on what exactly the railings were snapped to. Okay, come along now. Yeah, you're one of the ones that decided to be a pain in the butt. I'm going to have to put the roof on there first. Otherwise, it's not going to snap in the right place. There we go. And you can also always snap railings up above too, if you want to kind of go a little nuts with it. Sometimes that can be a fun detail. I usually will add a bunch of detail and then go back through and simplify it, take away some detail, and just mess around with it till I like it. That's kind of just how I do things. All right, what do we think of that? Is that too much? I think that is too much. So I'm going to pare it back a bit. Let's just remove all of them for now. Let's move on from there for now. Now that's a fun pattern too. I like the thatch on the inside and the pattern that gives. There we go. So there's our nice little teleporter gazebo. I hope that was helpful, but I think I'm going to have to let this go for here. Let this go here for now. And I'll be back with another video very soon with some more variations on this. Bigger round designs, smaller round designs. You know what you get if you take a round design like this and make it a lot taller? You get a cool round tower. So we will explore some of that. And we will have you guys churning out round bases too before you know it. I know you can do this. I believe in you. I've been completely addicted to building round in Ark for over 2 years, and I bet once you get started, you also won't be able to stop yourself.
Well, that's my bird's eye view for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I worked hard to make it, and so if you did enjoy it, don't forget to peck the like button. And I hope you will come home to roost and join the flock over on my Discord. Thanks to Nitrato for feathering my nest by sponsoring my servers, and massive thanks to my channel members, the Homebirds, Birds of a Feather, and Little Birds. Wondering how to become a channel member? Just peck that join button below this video or on my main channel page. So in a few seconds, the YouTube algorithm will be showing you a link to one of my other videos, one that it thinks you would enjoy, so it's different for everyone. Which one is it suggesting to you? I'm a very curious bird. Please comment with the title. Thanks. If you watch to the end, please leave a flower emoji, and we'll see you next time. Fly free, my birds, and remember, don't let anyone clip your wings.